Hey there tech fans, Rick here from the Array team with an overview of the UHD14-EX115-K 1x4 HDMI splitter and extender kit. This product provides a very simple way of sharing any of your HDMI media content with 4 remote locations at a distance up to 115 feet away in full 4K ultra high definition resolution or up to 165 feet away in full 1080p resolution over a single Cat6, Cat6e, or Cat7 cable. The product also employs the very latest in power over cable technology, which means you can operate the entire system with a single power supply. The unit also provides local loopback functionality, which allows you to enjoy the content at the primary location while you're simultaneously broadcasting it to those remote locations. Also included is audio extraction capabilities, which will strip the audio from the media stream you're distributing and allow you to pass that along to a soundbar or home stereo system for the best possible sound. Finally, a set of infrared blasters are included for each of the remote locations, which will capture the infrared signals from the remote controls at those locations to allow you to remotely control the content you're watching. Now, as part of this overview, I'd like to start with an unboxing just to show you everything that's included with the kit. Then I'll take a closer look at each of the components and explain exactly what they do. I'll list the audio and video standards the product can support. And then finally, I'll come back and actually install it here to show you just how easy it's going to be to use with your own equipment. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you first open up the box, you'll find the main unit, you'll find 4 remote units, you'll find a power supply, again, that can be used at the primary or secondary locations. You'll find a set of 4 infrared receivers and 1 infrared transmitter here, as well as sticky pads you can use to attach those to your media devices. And then finally, a full instruction manual is also included with diagrams, specifications, and all the information you'll need to understand exactly how to connect this up with your own equipment at home. Now, if you stay tuned, next I'll take a closer look at the components and explain exactly what they do. Inside the kit, you'll find the sender module, a 12-volt, 2.5 amp DC power supply. This end plugs into any standard wall outlet. The other end has a barrel connection on it with a locking collar, and that can plug into the back of the sender module or any one of the receiver modules. And because this solution uses power over cable, this one power supply is all you'll need to operate all these products. Also included are 4 receiver modules. Each of those are identical, and you'll find an infrared receiver with each of those modules, as well as a sticky pad you can use to attach this to your media equipment. This receiver will pick up the remote control signals from each of these locations and transmit those back over that same network connection to the primary location. And you'll find 1 infrared transmitter here that plugs into the sender module. This picks up the remote control signals, sends them back. This broadcasts those signals out to control the media you're watching. You'll also find a sticky pad to attach this to your media product. And then finally, there's a full instruction manual included that lists connection diagrams and specifications and all the other information you'll need to understand exactly how to install this product. Both the sender and receiver modules feature full metal enclosures, which make them extremely durable and also helps to minimize outside interference from causing any issues with the electronics inside. On the front of the sender module, starting on the left, you'll find a power switch that can be used to turn the module on and off. To the right of that is a power indicator. The minute you add power to the sender module, or if you choose to add power to one of the remote receiver modules and make a network connection back, the sender module starts a power on self-test where it's checking all the internal electronics, make sure everything is working fine. Once it passes that test, it'll light that LED indicating valid power. To the right of that are 2 more LED indicators, input and loop. When you make a connection between the sender module and your local media device that you'd like to use to distribute content to these remote locations, the sender module will check the resolution of that device, it'll verify the connection, and it'll light that input indicator, letting you know you've got a valid input source. To the right of that is a loop indicator. This product provides for local loopback function, which means you can actually enjoy the content here while simultaneously distributing it to these remote locations. And the way you'll accomplish that is by connecting an HDMI cable from the port on the back that's labeled loop out to a local monitor. The sender module will then check the resolution of that monitor, it'll check the connection, and it'll light the loop indicator, letting you know you've got that function enabled. To the right of that are 4 more LED indicators. They're letting you know you've got a valid connection between the sender module and each one of those remote receiver modules. So when you make that network connection from the back of this to that receiver module, a short test will take place on that receiver module, the cable gets checked, and once the sender module is satisfied that the connection's good, it'll light up these indicators letting you know they're ready to receive content. Now, under normal operation, all 4 of these should be on. The input indicator should be on and the power indicator should be on. If you're using the local loopback function, that'll be on as well. Now, this particular model supports up to 4 remote locations. There is a larger model of this that will support up to 8, so if you need to support more locations than 4, you'll have to look at that model. On the rear of the units where you'll make all your connections, starting on the left you'll find 2 audio output ports, a coaxial and an analog 3.5 millimeter connection. This product provides for audio extraction capabilities, which will actually strip the audio from the media stream you're distributing and allow you to pass that through these connections to a soundbar or a home audio system for better quality sound, and that's where you'll make those connections. To the right of that are 2 HDMI connections. This one is your input device. Your media device will connect to there over a standard HDMI cable. This is your loop out connection. So if you want to watch that same content you're distributing on a local monitor, you'll connect it up there. These are your 4 network connections for your remote receivers. You'll use a Cat6, Cat6e, or Cat7 cable directly from here to that receiver, and that's the only connection you'll need. Once that connection's been verified, the LEDs in the front will come on. To the right of that is the IR blaster port, and that's used with the IR blaster transmitter module. You'll plug the 3.5 millimeter plug in here, you'll put it in front of the media device you want to control, and it'll actually broadcast the remote control signals from the remote locations to that media device so you can control the content. To the right of that is your power port. Again, it's a barrel connection with a collar on it that you can tighten so it doesn't pop out. You can add power here or add it to one of the remote receiver modules, and when you make the network connection back, it'll provide power to this module. On the sides, you'll notice vents for cooling to keep the electronics inside at a comfortable temperature. And on the other side, you have a couple more ports. There's a need-did switch right there that allows you to make adjustments as needed to accommodate different input resolutions versus different output resolutions, and that's explained in the manual. And to the right of that is a micro USB port that's used for firmware updates to the product. Over time, there may be features and functions that are introduced with this product to update it, and you'll connect that up with a micro USB cable to your computer. You'll push the microcode to this unit to do the update. That's pretty much all there is to the module. There are 4 receiver modules included with the kit as well, and they all look exactly the same. Again, it's a full metal enclosure which helps to reduce the outside interference. On the one end you'll find a LAN port, and that's used for connecting back to the primary location. You'll run a network cable, plug one end in here, the other end plugs into any available port on the back of the sender module, and that's actually the only connection you'll need between this remote location and the primary location. And over that single cable you'll receive media content, both audio and video. You'll be able to send back infrared signals from your remote controller to control the content you're watching. And if you've plugged the power supply in on the sender module, you'll actually receive enough power to run this module over that same cable. To the right of that is a service port, and just like on the sender module, it's a micro USB connection. If updates need to happen to this later on, you can actually connect the cable from here, micro USB, to your computer, push the firmware to it to accomplish those updates. To the right of that is the infrared blaster port. You're going to use a receiver module here that will actually pick up the remote control signals and transmit those back to the primary location over that single LAN cable. And you'll plug that 3.5 millimeter plug in right there. You have the option of plugging a power supply in here or plugging it in the sender end. It's totally up to you if you do that, but that's the port you'll use to plug in the power supply. Plenty of ventilation on the sides to keep the electronics cool inside. And on the other end is your HDMI output port. You'll connect the cable from here, standard HDMI cable, to your local monitor to enjoy your content. That's pretty much all there is to it. The kit also includes 5 IR blaster modules, 4 receivers, and 1 is a transmitter. And even though they look similar, there is a difference between them. The receiver modules have a larger head on the end, and these are used at your remote locations to pick up the infrared signals from your remote controller. 3.5 millimeter plug plugs in any of the receiver modules. The transmitter module is a little different. It's got a smaller head, and again a 3.5 millimeter plug here that plugs into the back of the sender module. And what happens is the receiver actually picks up the remote control signals at those remote locations, sends it back over the LAN connection to the sender unit, which broadcasts it out the end of this so you can control the media content at that primary location. So it's very important when you're connecting these up that you plug the smaller one in to the sender unit and the larger one into all 4 of your receiver units. The Array UHD14-EX115-K 1x4 HDMI splitter and extender kit can be used with most media devices through their single HDMI port, including laptops, cable boxes, game systems, streaming media devices like Roku and Apple TV, and DVD players. The product supports full ultra-high definition 4K media content and will easily extend any HDMI media source 115 feet in full 4K resolution or 165 feet in full 1080p resolution over a single Cat6, Cat6e, or Cat7 cable. It also provides audio extraction capabilities as well as power over LAN to simplify the installation. And finally, an infrared blaster kit is included to make control of the media easy from those remote locations. Now I'll show you the connections you'll need to make to use this product with your own equipment. For this demonstration, I have a media player over here that's currently looping a video on this bottom display, and that's the content that I want to split and distribute to my remote locations. I've also set up 4 monitors that represent those remote locations where I'd like to enjoy that content. I have the sender module here. I have 4 receiver modules here. The first set of connections I'll make are to the sender module, and I'll start with the media input. So I'll disconnect that from the monitor, HDMI cable. That plugs into the HDMI input port on the back of the sender module. Now that I've made that connection, I'll add power. I've already plugged the power supply in, so I just simply slide the barrel connector into the power port in the back and finger tighten the collar. Now the minute I do that, the sender module starts its power on self-test, so it's currently looking at the input resolution, checking to make sure the power's okay, all the electronics are working fine. And while that's going on, I'll connect up the receiver modules, and I'll start with these 2. I've got 2 HDMI cables already connected to the monitors, and those connect to the HDMI output ports on both of the receiver modules. There's 1, there's 2. Then I'll do the same on this side. I've got 1 monitor, the top one already connected to an HDMI cable. And the bottom one, I need to add an HDMI cable to it. So I'll plug that into the monitor and the other end into the last receiver. Now once I finish that, the only connection I'm missing at this point is the LAN connection between the primary location and each of these remote locations. And I've got some short Cat6 cables here that I'll use for that connection. Now what's going to be interesting about this is I'll start with port number 1, make that blue, and port number 2 will be white. The minute I connect this to the remote receiver, it's going to transfer power from the sender unit to the receiver unit, start a power on self-test here, then start transmitting that video. So let me connect that one up first, and you'll see that monitor come up quickly. That's going to be the top monitor. This is the second one, and that'll follow. So there's the top monitor. That one should come on in a second. While that's coming up, I have 2 more short Cat6 over here, LAN cables, and I'll connect up to port 3 in the back and port 4 in the back. So the first one is port 3, and I'll connect that to the top monitor, which is this one. That should come on in a second. Again, it's going through a power on self-test. And finally, the 4th monitor. Now it's going to take a second for the sender module to communicate with the receiver modules and for them to determine what the resolution of the monitors are. But once the handshake takes place, you can see all the monitors are working. Now one other feature I'd like to show you is the loopback function on this, which is really nice. And I've got a really small monitor right here that I'll turn on. And what this allows me to do is actually enjoy the content that I'm transmitting to these remote locations here at the primary location, because remember, this can be very far away from those remote locations, and you may want to enjoy the content at that primary location. So I have another HDMI cable here that I'll connect up to this tiny little monitor because I'm running out of space, and I'll connect that to the loop out on the back of the sender module. And once that's connected, pretty soon you'll see the same video that's being broadcast to those remote locations come up on here. And there you go. It's just that simple, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. I hope you found this overview of the UHD14-EX115-K 1x4 HDMI splitter and extender kit helpful. It really does provide a very simple way of sharing any of your HDMI media content with 4 remote locations simultaneously at a distance of up to 115 feet away in full 4K resolution, or even further at 165 feet away in full 1080p resolution over a single Cat6, Cat6e, or Cat7 cable. And the fact that the product also incorporates local loopback functionality means you can enjoy the content at the primary location that you're distributing to those remote locations. The inclusion of audio extraction capabilities means you can extract the audio from the media stream you're sharing and pass that along to a soundbar or home stereo system for better quality audio. And finally, the inclusion of the infrared blasters gives you complete control from those remote locations over the content you're watching. Everything you need to get started is included with the kit, and with a few simple connections, you can be up and running in no time. So until next time, thanks for watching.